The ring sits on Ethan Walker's kitchen table long after the storm moves east. Midnight drags into 1 in the morning, then 2, while rainwater taps softly against the cabin windows and the old ceiling fan hums above him with uneven rhythm. Rex lies near the wood stove, exhausted but awake, his amber eyes never leaving the object beneath the dim yellow light. Ethan has cleaned the mud from the band 3 times already. The initials are still there. Elash Liame. His fingers tighten around the chipped coffee mug in his hands. 8 years ago, the military declared Liam dead after a mission near Kandahar collapsed into chaos. No remains recovered. No video. Just folded flags, paperwork, and silence. Ethan remembers standing beside Liam's mother in dress blues while rain rolled down the cemetery tents in Virginia. He remembers lying to her. We did everything we could. The words still taste rotten in his mouth. Rex suddenly lifts his head. A low sound rumbles in his chest. Not aggressive. Alert. Ethan glances toward the back door. Wind pushes through the pine trees outside, carrying the scent of wet earth and cold sap through the cracks in the cabin walls. Then he notices it. Mud. Fresh mud across the floorboards. Ethan frowns. Rex tracked someone earlier, but this trail is different. Narrower. Deliberate. It begins near the kitchen table and continues down the hallway toward the locked storage room Ethan has not opened in almost 2 years. The Marine rises slowly. The floor creaks beneath his boots while Rex stands immediately and moves ahead of him without command. That unsettles Ethan more than he wants to admit. The dog knows where he is going. The hallway feels colder than the rest of the cabin. Ethan reaches the storage room door and stares at it for several long seconds. Dust coats the knob. A faded strip of blue tape still hangs crooked across the frame from the last time he sealed the room shut after another sleepless night. Rex whines softly now. Ethan unlocks the door. The smell hits first. Cardboard. Old canvas. Gun oil. Ghosts. Moonlight spills through the small window, illuminating shelves lined with sealed military crates, folded uniforms, and framed photographs turned face down. Ethan rarely comes in here anymore. Too many memories breathe inside these walls. Rex moves immediately toward the far corner beside an old deployment trunk. He begins pawing the floorboards. Ethan kneels beside him, confused. What is it? Rex keeps scratching. Top, top, top. Then Ethan hears it. Hollow beneath the boards. His pulse quickens. He drags the heavy trunk aside with both hands, dust exploding into the air. Underneath sits a loose plank Ethan does not remember ever seeing before. The edges are scratched deep, almost like claw marks. Rex steps back, watching him intensely. Ethan grips the edge of the board and pries upward. The wood lifts with a dry crack. Underneath is a narrow compartment hidden beneath the floor. Ethan freezes. Inside rests a weathered military radio wrapped carefully in plastic sheeting. Beside it lies a small stack of burned documents tied together with black cord. Ethan stares in disbelief. He never hid these here, which means only one thing. Liam did. A cold wave moves through Ethan's chest. The last time he saw Liam alive was inside a temporary outpost 2 days before the mission failed. They had shared stale coffee while Rex slept near the doorway, ears twitching at every distant sound. Liam had looked exhausted that night, nervous. Ethan remembers asking what was wrong. Liam never answered directly. He only said something strange before walking out into the dark. If anything happens to me, trust the dog before you trust the report. At the time, Ethan thought it was stress talking. Now the memory lands differently. Rex suddenly growls again, sharper this time. Ethan looks down. Wedged beneath the radio is another object. Smaller. Metallic. He pulls it free carefully. A flash drive. Military encrypted. One side burned black from heat exposure. The other side marked with faded red paint. Ethan's stomach drops when he recognizes the symbol stamped into the metal casing. Phoenix Unit. His old recon team. The team command officially claimed all mission intel was destroyed in the explosion 8 years ago. Every file, every recording, gone. But Liam had one copy. Ethan slowly sits back. Against the wall, breathing harder now. The cabin suddenly feels too quiet. Too small. Rainwater slides down the windows in crooked streams while Rex walks closer and presses his muzzle gently against Ethan's trembling hand. Then comes the rehook. Outside, somewhere deep in the forest beyond the cabin, another metallic sound echoes through the night. Clang. Faint, distant, but unmistakable. Rex's ears snap upright instantly. The old German shepherd turns toward the darkness beyond the window and lets out a low warning growl that makes Ethan's blood run cold. Because this time, the sound does not come from the buried tree. It comes from farther up the mountain. The mountain road disappears beneath fog as Ethan Walker drives uphill with one hand tight around the steering wheel and the burned flash drive resting heavily in his jacket pocket. It is past 3 in the morning now. The storm has weakened, but cold mist still drifts between the pine trees and pale ribbons that catch the truck headlights and vanish again. Rex sits rigid in the passenger's seat, ears forward, eyes fixed on the darkness ahead. He has not relaxed once since the sound came from the mountain. Not once. Ethan glances toward the dog. You know where that was coming from, do not you? Rex does not move. The old German shepherd simply stares ahead, breathing slowly through his nose as if tracking a scent carried through the rain. Ethan's chest tightens. He should turn around. Any sane man would. But the ring, the hidden radio, the flash drive, none of it makes sense anymore. And deep down, beneath years of discipline and buried guilt, one thought has begun clawing at him harder than the others. What if Liam never died the way they said he did? The truck climbs another mile through the forest until the road narrows into gravel and broken stone. Ethan knows this part of the mountain well. There used to be an abandoned fire watch station near the summit decades ago, before lightning burned most of it down. Teenagers sometimes drove up there in summer to drink beer around the ruins. Nobody came in winter. Nobody came during storms. Rex suddenly growls low in his throat. Ethan sees it a second later. Light, faint, and flickering through the trees ahead. Not lightning. Too steady. His pulse jumps instantly. The old watch station should be empty. He kills the headlights immediately, and the truck sinks into darkness except for moonlight bleeding weakly through the clouds overhead. For several seconds, neither man nor dog moves. Then comes another sound. Metal striking metal. Clang, clang. Slow, rhythmic. Ethan reaches beneath the seat and pulls out the old service pistol he rarely carries anymore. The weight feels foreign in his hand now. He hated that feeling after Afghanistan. The cold certainty that something terrible waited just beyond sight. Rex steps out of the truck first when Ethan opens the door. The forest air smells wet and sharp with pine resin. Somewhere nearby, water drips steadily from broken branches. Ethan crouches beside the dog. Easy, he whispers. Stay close. They move uphill together through mud and scattered brush while the fog thickens around them. Every few yards, Ethan loses sight of the path entirely. The only thing guiding him is Rex. Then the rehook arrives. A voice. Faint. Human. Ethan freezes instantly. Somewhere above them on the ridge, hidden beyond the fog, someone says a single sentence. You should have left it buried. Silence follows. Complete and unnatural. Ethan's heartbeat pounds hard enough he can hear it in his ears. He raises the pistol slowly and scans the trees, but sees nothing except drifting white mist and black trunks stretching endlessly uphill. Who is there? He calls out. No answer. Only wind. Rex begins barking sharply now, not in panic, but warning. The dog lunges uphill suddenly, and Ethan has no choice but to follow. Branches slap against his jacket, while loose rocks slide beneath his boots. The terrain steepens fast. 50 yards later, the ruins emerge through the fog like bones. The old watch station barely stands anymore. Half the roof collapsed years ago. Rusted beams lean sideways against cracked concrete, while rainwater drips through exposed rafters into puddles black as oil. And there, near the center of the ruin, hangs an old military lantern swaying gently in the wind. Frisch Lili. Ethan steps inside cautiously. Rex circles ahead, nose low, tracking something invisible across the wet floor. Then Ethan sees the wall. Someone has pinned photographs across the cracked concrete using hunting knives. Dozens of them. Military convoys. Desert roads. Men in combat gear. One picture stops Ethan cold. Phoenix unit. His recon team. 8 years younger. Liam stands near the center, smiling faintly beside Rex, one hand resting against the dog's neck. Ethan slowly approaches the wall, while dread crawls deeper into his stomach. Every photograph has dates written beneath it in black marker. Surveillance date. Tracking dates. Some are recent. Very recent. One photo was taken only 3 weeks ago outside Ethan's own cabin. Rainwater drips from the ceiling onto the floor beside his boots while the realization settles over him like ice. Someone has been watching him. Watching Rex. Watching everything. Rex suddenly stops near the far corner of the ruin and begins scratching frantically at loose boards beneath a collapsed desk. Ethan rushes over and pulls the wood aside. Underneath rests a portable hard drive wrapped carefully inside military canvas. Beside it lies a handwritten note stained by moisture, but still readable under the lantern light. Ethan's hands shake as he unfolds it. 3 words stare back at him in Liam Hayes' unmistakable handwriting. Trust no command. The lantern swings slowly above Ethan Walker's head while cold wind slips through the broken watch station walls with a sound like distant whispering. The photographs tremble softly against the concrete every time the gusts pass through. Ethan stares at the note in his hands again. Trust no command. Liam's handwriting. No doubt about it. The same sharp block letters Ethan watched him scribble across mission logs and supply manifests for years overseas. Rex stands close beside him now, pressed against Ethan's leg, his ears twitching toward every sound outside the ruin. The old German shepherd can feel it too. Someone has been here recently. Very recently. Ethan lowers himself onto the edge of the collapsed desk and rubs a trembling hand across his face. His thoughts crash against each other faster than he can sort them. If Liam hid this evidence before the mission collapsed, then someone else knew about it. Someone inside Phoenix unit. Someone with enough power to bury records, erase files, and convince grieving families there was nothing left to recover. The hard drive suddenly feels heavier in Ethan's hands than any weapon he ever carried. He knows what is inside could destroy lives, careers, reputations, maybe even his own memories of the men he once trusted. And that is what terrifies him most, because part of Ethan still wants to believe the official story. It is easier that way. Easier to survive when the dead stay buried where the reports place them. Rex suddenly moves toward the station doorway and lets out a low warning growl. Ethan rises immediately. Headlights. Faint beams cutting through the fog far below the ridge road. A vehicle climbing the mountain slowly. His pulse spikes. Nobody should know he is here. Nobody except whoever left the lantern burning. The emotional risk lands all at once. If someone has tracked him this long, then opening the hard drive changes everything. There will be no going back after tonight. No more quiet cabin. No more pretending the war ended years ago. Ethan grips the drive tightly while rainwater drips from the ceiling onto the backs of his hands. What did you pull me into, Liam? He whispers. Rex looks back at him instantly when he hears the name. The dog's eyes catch the lantern glow for a brief second, and Ethan sees something there he has spent years avoiding. Not fear, expectation, as if Rex has been waiting for Ethan to finally stop running. Then comes the rehook. A radio crackles somewhere inside the ruin. Ethan spins immediately, heart hammering. Static bursts through the darkness behind the collapsed staircase. He raises the pistol and steps carefully across loose boards while Rex moves ahead of him. The sound grows clearer. An old military field radio sits hidden beneath a tarp near the back wall, powered on despite layers of dust. Ethan kneels beside it cautiously. More static, then a voice. Distorted, weak, but unmistakably human. Walker, if you found this, they lied about all of it, Ethan. Freezes. The recording cuts out abruptly into harsh white noise before returning again for half a second. Do not let them bury. Static swallows the rest. Ethan's breathing turns shallow. Liam. It has to be Liam. The voice is older than the note, rougher, exhausted, but Ethan would recognize it anywhere. Rex begins whining softly beside him now, pacing in restless circles across the floorboards. The headlights outside are closer, much closer. Ethan kills the lantern immediately, and darkness swallows the ruin whole. Only the fog remains visible through broken walls, glowing faint silver beneath moonlight. A truck engine hums somewhere below the ridge. Doors slam shut. Ethan feels the old instinct return before his mind can stop it. The hyper-awareness, the tightening chest, the certainty that every shadow hides intent. He hated this feeling after coming home, hated what it turned him into, but tonight feels too familiar, like the hours before everything went wrong overseas. Ethan looks at the hard drive again. He has two choices now: take the evidence and disappear before whoever is outside reaches the station, or finally learn what Liam died trying to protect. The conflict tears through him harder than fear itself, because deep down he already knows the truth waiting inside. Those files may not only expose betrayal, it may expose him too. Rex suddenly stops pacing. His body stiffens toward the tree line beyond the doorway. A shape moves briefly through the fog below. Human, watching the station from between the pines. Then another sound cuts through the mountain air. A whistle. Short, sharp, familiar. Rex's ears rise instantly at the exact same moment. Ethan's stomach drops in disbelief. He knows that whistle. Every Marine in Phoenix unit did. It belonged to Colonel Nathan Briggs, the commanding officer who officially signed Liam Hayes' death report 8 years ago. The whistle echoes once more through the fog below the ruined watch station, thin and distant, but sharp enough to pull Ethan Walker straight back into the worst night of his life. Rex reacts instantly. The German Shepherd steps in front of Ethan with a low growl rolling deep in his chest, fur along his spine, rising beneath the damp mountain air. Ethan has not heard that whistle in nearly a decade. 3 short notes. Phoenix unit recall signal. Colonel Nathan Briggs used it during recon sweeps overseas whenever radio silence mattered more than comfort. Hearing it now feels impossible. Briggs retired 6 years ago. Decorated, honored, untouchable. Ethan kills the radio transmission completely and slips the hard drive inside his jacket while crouching low beside the shattered wall. The headlights below remain hidden by fog, but footsteps crunch faintly across gravel somewhere near the ridge trail. Slow, patient. Whoever is outside is not searching randomly. They know exactly where to look. Rex turns his head toward Ethan briefly, waiting for instruction, but Ethan cannot give one yet because his mind is splitting open under the weight of memory. Kandahar. Dust storms. Burned convoys. Liam Hayes shouting over gunfire while Rex barked beside him near a collapsed alleyway. Then the mission report afterward. Briggs standing perfectly calm beneath fluorescent lights, saying the explosion destroyed everything. No sobrevivos. No recoverabilidad. Ethan believed him because he needed to. Men survive war by obeying clean narratives. If the truth becomes too messy, it eats you alive. Another rehook hits when Ethan notices something scratched into the concrete floor near the radio table. Fresh marks. Letters carved recently with a knife blade. He wipes dirt away carefully until the full message appears beneath his fingertips. He still comes here. Ethan's stomach tightens hard. Not came. Comes. Present tense. Rex suddenly whines softly and moves toward the rear hallway of the station ruins where collapsed beams create a narrow passage into darkness. Ethan follows carefully with the pistol lowered but ready. Rainwater drips steadily from the broken ceiling overhead while moonlight flickers through moving fog outside. The passage opens into a small back room Ethan almost missed entirely. And there, mounted against the far wall beneath layers of dust, hangs an old operations board from Phoenix unit. Photographs, maps, coordinates. Most are faded beyond recognition. Now, but one map remains circled heavily in red marker. Kandahar province. Sector Twelve. Ethan steps closer slowly. His breathing turns shallow the moment he recognizes the coordinates. That was not where Liam supposedly died. The official report placed the fatal explosion almost 40 miles west near a deserted supply route. But these coordinates point somewhere entirely different. A civilian district. Ethan's chest tightens. Why lie about the location? He whispers under his breath. Rex begins scratching near the base of the operations board. Ethan kneels beside him and notices a hidden compartment tucked behind the map itself. Inside rests a small digital recorder no bigger than a pack of gum. The battery indicator still blinks faintly green. Recent use. Ethan presses play. Static crackles softly before Liam's exhausted voice fills the room. If anybody finds this, listen carefully. Briggs knows the convoy was not carrying medical aid. He changed the route after he crossed the river. Civilians were still inside the district when the trucks arrived. Ethan feels ice spread through his body. Liam continues breathing hard on the recording. Some of the men wanted to report it. Briggs shut it down fast. Said national security mattered more than collateral stories. But there's something worse. Someone else was there that night. Someone we never briefed for. The recorder suddenly cuts out. Silence. Ethan presses play again. Nothing. Dead battery. His hands shake harder now. Part of the truth has surfaced, but the deeper part remains buried beneath too many missing pieces. What convoy? Who else was there? And why would Liam risk hiding evidence for 8 years unless he believed someone was still protecting the secret? Outside, the footsteps stop completely. The silence becomes unbearable. Then a flashlight beam cuts briefly through the fog beyond the broken window. Rex barks sharply once. Ethan moves toward the opening and catches sight of a figure standing near the trees below. Tall, broad-shouldered, older man. The flashlight lowers slowly, revealing a familiar military posture Ethan would recognize anywhere, even after all these years. Colonel Nathan. Briggs. The retired officer looks directly toward the watch station through the drifting fog without speaking. No panique. No surprise. Just disappointment. Then Briggs raises one hand slowly toward Ethan and taps 2 fingers against his temple in an old battlefield gesture Phoenix unit once used for warning. Think carefully. The message lands instantly. This is not a threat yet. It is an invitation to stop digging before something worse surfaces. But before Ethan can react, Rex begins barking wildly toward the trees behind Briggs. Not at the colonel, at something moving deeper in the forest beyond him. Something neither man can fully see. The barking changes first. Ethan Walker hears it instantly. Rex is no longer warning. He is calling to someone. The old German shepherd lunges toward the darkness beyond the ruined watch station with a sharp, desperate whine Ethan has not heard since overseas, the sound Rex used only for members of Phoenix unit. Colonel Nathan Briggs turns toward the trees behind him at the exact same moment. His calm expression cracks for the first time all night. Fear. Real fear. Rex, stay. Ethan shouts, but the dog bolts downhill into the fog anyway. Ethan follows without thinking, boots sliding across wet rock and loose gravel while cold air tears through the pines around him. Briggs disappears between the trees ahead. For several seconds the mountain becomes nothing but movement and shadows. Branches, breath, mud. Then Ethan hears another sound beneath the storm water dripping from the canopy overhead. Coughing. Weak. Human. Rex barks again somewhere ahead, near the old ravine beyond the station ruins. Ethan crashes through thick brush and nearly stops breathing when he sees the hidden structure buried against the mountainside. A bunker door. Rusted steel hidden beneath overgrown vines and fallen pine needles. Someone has been using it recently. Fresh tire tracks cut through the mud nearby. The heavy door hangs slightly open, warm yellow light spilling through the narrow gap into the fog. Rex stands at the entrance trembling violently, tail low, eyes fixed inside. Ethan reaches him slowly. Buddy! The dog whines again and presses forward. Ethan grips the pistol tighter and steps into the bunker. Warm, stale air hits him immediately. The place smells like old paper, diesel fuel, and antiseptic. Dim emergency lights flicker overhead, casting long shadows across concrete walls lined with military filing cabinets and radio equipment far newer than anything abandoned. This place was not forgotten. It was maintained. Ethan moves deeper inside with Rex glued to his side. Then he sees the photographs. Hundreds of them pinned across another operations wall. Surveillance pictures, government buildings, convoys, Phoenix unit members, even Liam Hayes. Some photos are nearly 10 years old. Others are recent enough the ink still gleams beneath fluorescent light. At the center of the wall hangs one picture larger than the rest. Ethan himself, standing outside his cabin 3 nights ago. The realization strikes like ice water. Someone has been watching him for years. A soft sound comes from the room beyond the bunker corridor. A chair scraping slowly across concrete. Ethan raises the pistol and steps forward carefully. The next moment changes everything. A man sits beneath a hanging light inside the back room, wrapped in a gray military blanket. Thin, bearded, older than Ethan remembers. One side of his face marked by old burn scars disappearing beneath silvering hair. But the eyes. Ethan knows the eyes instantly. Liam Hayes looks up slowly from the chair, while Rex lets out a broken cry and rushes forward. Ethan stops dead in the doorway. The pistol slips from his hand and clatters against concrete. For several seconds, nobody speaks. Rex presses against Liam desperately, whining and pawing at his chest, while Liam grips the dog with trembling hands like a drowning man clutching the last proof of home. Tears fill the old Marine's exhausted eyes. "Hey, boy," Liam whispers hoarsely. "You still remember me?" Ethan feels his knees weaken beneath him. "No." The word barely escapes his throat. "No, you are dead." Liam looks at him quietly across the dim bunker light. That is what Briggs wanted everyone to believe. Ethan stares in disbelief while memories crash violently through him. The ring, the hidden messages, the coordinates that never matched the report. Rex refusing to stop digging. It all points here, to this impossible moment. Liam Hayes alive after 8 years buried beneath lies. "What?" Ethan finally whispers. "Why stay hidden all this time?" Liam's expression darkens with grief, so heavy it seems to age him another decade. "Because I saw what was inside those convoy containers," he says softly, "and Briggs made sure anyone who knew the truth disappeared." Ethan's chest tightens painfully. Liam gestures weakly toward a stack of files near the desk. The aid mission was fake. The convoy carried stolen weapons through civilian zones. Briggs sold access to private contractors overseas and blamed the casualties on insurgents afterward. Ethan struggles to breathe. The entire mission, the medals, the reports, everything was poisoned. But then Liam says the one thing Ethan never saw coming. "You were never supposed to survive that night, either." Silence swallows the bunker whole. Even the lights seem to hum quieter. Ethan stares at Liam in confusion while Rex remains pressed tightly against the man he mourned for nearly a decade. Liam looks down at the dog slowly before speaking again. "Rex knew before anyone else," he whispers. "That is why he kept trying to take you back to the burial site. He was not searching for me." Liam lifts his exhausted eyes toward Ethan, pain flooding every word that follows. "He was trying to show you where Briggs buried the others." The bunker falls silent, except for the soft hum of fluorescent lights and Rex's uneven breathing as he presses himself against Liam Hayes like he is afraid the man might disappear again if he lets go. Ethan Walker cannot move. His mind keeps trying to reject what his eyes already know is real. Liam alive, Briggs lying. The mission corrupted from the beginning. 8 years of grief built on a grave that never existed. Ethan slowly sinks into the chair across from Liam, while cold water drips from his jacket sleeves onto the concrete floor. His hands will not stop shaking. "We buried you," he says finally, voice breaking apart under the weight of it. "Your mother buried an empty coffin." Liam lowers his eyes. Shame passes across his scarred face like a shadow moving through smoke. "I know." Ethan's jaw tightens instantly. The pain hits harder now than the shock itself. Not anger, betrayal. 8 years of sleepless nights replaying the mission over and over while Liam breathes somewhere beneath the same mountains. "You should have told me," Ethan whispers. "You should have trusted me." Liam closes his eyes briefly at those words. Rex whines softly between them, sensing the fracture opening inside the room. "I wanted to," Liam says quietly. "More times than you know." He reaches toward an old metal cabinet beside the desk and pulls out a weathered photograph sealed inside plastic. Ethan recognizes it instantly. Phoenix unit standing together before deployment. Younger faces. Easier smiles. Rex still lean and restless beside them. Liam slides the photo carefully across the table. The night after the convoy mission, he says, Briggs pulled me aside. Told me the operation had gone bad because somebody leaked information. Ethan frowns. "Ooh." Liam's eyes lock onto his. "He said it was you." The words land like a punch to the chest. Ethan stares at him in disbelief. "What?" "He told me you made unauthorized contact with local civilians before the route change. Said you compromised the operation." Ethan rises halfway from the chair instinctively. "That is a lie. I know that now." Liam's voice cracks softly. "But back then, after the explosion, after everything collapsed, I did not know who to trust anymore." The emotional wound opens fully between them now. Ethan remembers that mission with terrible clarity. Briggs rerouting the convoy at the last minute. Radio channels suddenly failing. Rex barking nonstop near the lead truck moments before the blast shook the district. Then smoke. Chaos. Missing men. Missing records. And afterward Briggs isolating everyone separately before debriefings began. Carefully controlling the story before grief could ask questions. Rex suddenly lifts his head sharply toward Ethan and presses his muzzle against the Marine's trembling hand. The gesture nearly breaks him, because even when Liam doubted him, Rex never did. Ethan looks down at the old German shepherd and feels tears burn behind his eyes for the first time in years. "You knew," he whispers to the dog. "All this time, you knew." Rex lets out a low, exhausted sound and rests his head against Ethan's knee. The bunker lights flicker once overhead. Liam watches the moment quietly before speaking again. "He kept trying to go back after the mission," Liam says softly. "Back to the burial ground." Briggs wanted the site erased before investigators arrived, but Rex would not stop tracking the scent. Ethan remembers now. God, he remembers. Rex tearing against the leash for days after they returned stateside, digging holes behind the barracks, refusing commands whenever Briggs came near him. The military trainers blamed combat stress. Briggs called the dog unstable. Ethan defended Rex until command threatened forced retirement. That is why Briggs wanted him reassigned, Liam says. Rex remembered where the others were buried, and he remembered Briggs's scent near the site. Ethan feels something inside him collapse slowly under the weight of those words. The dog lying beside him carried the truth longer than any human being did. Through years of silence, through grief, through memory no one believed an animal could hold. Then comes the rehook. Somewhere above the bunker, a heavy engine rumbles across the mountain road. Liam's expression changes instantly. Fear returns to his eyes. "He found us faster than I thought." Ethan grabs the pistol again automatically while Rex rises despite obvious exhaustion. Liam limps toward the operations wall and pulls open another hidden compartment behind the maps. Inside rests a thick military file stamped with federal seals. "If anything happens tonight," Liam says urgently, handing the file to Ethan, "you take this and get it public. Everything is in there. Names, payments, coordinates, the burial site, too." Ethan takes the file slowly, but something else catches his attention inside the compartment. A second photograph hidden beneath the documents. He pulls it free carefully. The image nearly stops his heart. Colonel Briggs standing beside a younger man in civilian clothing near the convoy truck site. Years earlier, a man Ethan recognizes immediately. Senator Daniel Mercer. The same senator currently leading national veterans reform efforts in Washington. Liam watches the color drain from Ethan's face. "Now you understand," he says quietly. Briggs was never protecting himself. He was protecting someone much bigger. The engine noise above the bunker grows louder until gravel sprays across the mountain road outside like hard rain. Ethan Walker moves toward the entrance with the pistol steady in his trembling hand, while Rex stands beside him despite exhaustion, pulling heavily at the old German Shepherd's body. Liam Hayes quickly shuts down the bunker lights one row at a time, until only a faint emergency glow remains along the concrete walls. The room sinks into deep shadow. "There's another way out," Liam whispers. "Old supply tunnel behind the generator room." Ethan nods once, but his eyes remain fixed on the file in his other hand. Names, payments, dates. Years of buried lies heavy enough to destroy careers far beyond one retired colonel. Somewhere above them, truck doors slam shut. Then silence follows. No shouting, no panique. That somehow feels worse. Briggs always believed control mattered more than force. Ethan remembers that from overseas. Calm men could bury entire wars while keeping their boots clean. Rex suddenly leans hard against Ethan's leg. The dog is trembling now, not from fear but fatigue. Blood from his torn paws leaves faint marks across the bunker floor under the dim light. Ethan kneels immediately beside him. "Hey," he whispers softly, brushing rainwater from the fur around Rex's eyes. "You stay with me, buddy." Rex lifts his head slowly and presses his muzzle into Ethan's chest for just a second. The simple gesture nearly undoes him. 8 years. 8 years this dog carried grief no one understood. 8 years trying to lead Ethan back toward the truth while the world called it trauma and instinct. Liam watches them quietly from across the room. "He saved my life after the explosion," Liam says softly. Ethan looks up. Liam's scarred face tightens with memory. "I was trapped beneath concrete near the district after the convoy collapsed. Rex found me before Briggs's cleanup team did." Ethan feels cold settle through his ribs. "Cleanup team?" Liam nods slowly. "Briggs told command the blast wiped out the area completely. But some civilians survived. Witnesses survived. That is when everything changed." The bunker lights flicker weakly overhead while Liam continues. "Rex would not leave me. Briggs wanted the site erased before investigators arrived, but Rex kept dragging soldiers back toward the rubble where people were still trapped." Ethan closes his eyes briefly. Suddenly, all the pieces align. Rex barking at Briggs. Rex digging for years. Rex refusing reassignment. The dog was never broken. He was carrying unfinished orders. Then comes the rehook. A voice echoes faintly from outside the bunker entrance. Calm, older, familiar. "Ethan," Colonel Briggs calls through the darkness. "You do not have to destroy your life for ghosts." Ethan's jaw tightens instantly. Liam steps back deeper into the shadows while Rex growls low again despite his weakening body. Briggs's voice continues, measured and almost sorrowful. "You think releasing those files will bring peace? It will not. It will bury families, veterans, operations that protected this country." Ethan feels the old conflict rise inside him again. Duty versus truth. Loyalty versus conscience. The same war Briggs manipulated for years. "You buried innocent people," Ethan says toward the darkness beyond the bunker entrance. Silence follows for several seconds before Briggs answers quietly. "I buried mistakes before they became national disasters." The words land harder than shouting ever could. No denial. No excuse. Just cold certainty. Ethan realizes then that Briggs truly believes he did the right thing. That is what makes men like him dangerous. They stop seeing people and start seeing outcomes. Liam suddenly grips Ethan's arm tightly. "We do not have time," he whispers. The tunnel floods when the river rises. Ethan glances toward the rear corridor where cold water already creeps slowly across the concrete floor. Time pressure closes around them immediately. If they stay much longer, the tunnel becomes unusable. But Ethan hesitates because part of him still wants answers Briggs has never given. Why spare Liam? Why watch Ethan for years instead of silencing him too? Rex suddenly barks sharply toward the corridor as if making the choice for him. The old dog staggers slightly afterward, legs weakening beneath exhaustion. Ethan catches him instantly. "Okay," he whispers. "Okay, we're done running from this." Together, they move through the generator corridor while water drips steadily from rusted pipes overhead. Liam limps badly now, one hand against the wall for support. Ethan stays close beside Rex the entire way, refusing to let the dog fall behind even once. The tunnel opens nearly a quarter-mile down the mountain near a frozen creek hidden beneath thick pines. Dawn is beginning to break beyond the ridge now, pale blue light bleeding slowly into the storm clouds. For the first time all night, the air feels still, quiet. Ethan helps Liam sit against a fallen log beside the creek while Rex lowers himself heavily into the snow between them. The old German shepherd exhales long and slow, finally resting his head across Ethan's boot. Then Liam reaches into his jacket and pulls out a small sealed envelope Ethan has never seen before. "There is one more thing," he says quietly. Ethan takes the envelope carefully and notices his own name written across the front in faded ink. Liam's expression softens with sadness. "I wrote that the night I thought I was going to die." Ethan slowly opens the envelope beneath the growing morning light. Inside rests a handwritten letter and one final photograph. A photograph of Ethan himself standing beside the convoy hours before the mission failed. But in the reflection of the truck window, behind him stands another figure Ethan never noticed before. Someone wearing Phoenix unit gear. Someone whose face should not be there at all. Snow begins falling just after sunrise. Small flakes at first, drifting silently through the pine trees above the frozen creek while Ethan Walker stares at the photograph, trembling in his hands. Liam Hayes sits nearby against the fallen log, exhausted and pale beneath the gray morning light, while Rex rests between them, breathing slower now, his old body finally surrendering to the weight of the night. Ethan cannot take his eyes off the reflection in the convoy window. The figure standing behind him wears Phoenix unit gear exactly like the others. Same desert camouflage, same shoulder patch, but the face reflected in the glass should have been impossible. Ethan knows that face. Younger, cleaner, before the scars, before the years buried beneath guilt. It is him. Ethan slowly lowers the photograph, confusion twisting through him like cold wire. "No," he whispers. "That cannot be right." Liam watches him carefully for a long moment before speaking. "There were 2 convoy manifests that night," he says quietly. "One official, one altered." Ethan looks up sharply. Liam's tired eyes carry the same grief Rex has carried for years. "Briggs separated the team before the route change. Half of us thought we were escorting medical aid. The other half knew it was weapons." Ethan feels his pulse quicken again. "And me?" Liam swallows hard before answering. "You were listed on both manifests." Silence settles over the creek like fresh snow. Ethan's breathing turns shallow. Memory begins moving inside him differently now. Strange gaps, missing hours, conversations he cannot fully recall after the explosion. Briggs standing beside him afterward saying concussion trauma could affect memory consolidation. Ethan accepted that explanation because grief needed somewhere to sleep. But now another possibility crawls slowly into the light. What if parts of that night were not missing accidentally? Rex lifts his head weakly and nudges Ethan's arm, as though sensing the spiral beginning again. Ethan immediately drops the photograph and places one hand gently against the dog's neck. "Easy, buddy." The old German shepherd looks up at him with cloudy amber eyes that still somehow hold the same quiet certainty. Ethan suddenly understands something that nearly breaks his heart. Rex never cared about proving who was guilty. The dog only wanted Ethan to remember. A soft wind moves through the trees, carrying the scent of snow and pine resin across the creek bed. Liam reaches into his coat slowly and pulls out a folded newspaper clipping. National headlines. Federal investigations opening into classified military corruption after anonymous files surfaced overnight online. Briggs's name appears near the center beneath a grainy courthouse photograph. Ethan stares at it quietly. The truth is finally moving beyond the mountain, beyond the bunker, beyond them. But there is no victory inside him, only exhaustion. What happens now? Ethan asks softly. Liam looks toward the forest line where snow gathers slowly across the pines. Now people decide which version of the story they can live with. Rex suddenly struggles to stand. Ethan immediately supports him, concern flashing across his face. The dog manages only a few slow steps before stopping near the creek, where snow settles gently across his sable fur. Then Rex lowers himself into the white silence and exhales long and deep. Ethan kneels beside him instantly. "Hey, stay with me." His voice cracks badly now. Rex looks toward the trees one final time. Peaceful. No growling. No searching. Just stillness. Liam watches quietly from behind while Ethan presses his forehead gently against the dog's. Memories flood through him all at once. Afghan dust storms. Sleepless nights in Montana. Rain against the cabin windows. Bloody paws digging through frozen earth because one loyal animal refused to let the dead stay forgotten. Ethan feels tears finally break free down his face. "I'm sorry it took me this long," he whispers. Rex's tail moves once against the snow. Slow, faint, then stillness returns to the creek. Not death, just rest. The kind neither dog nor man had known in years. Time passes quietly after that. Federal teams arrive on the mountain 3 days later. The burial site behind Ethan's cabin is excavated carefully beneath gray winter skies. Families receive answers long denied to them. Colonel Briggs disappears before formal charges are filed. Some say he crossed the border into Canada. Others claim powerful people helped him vanish before testimony could begin. Senator Mercer resigns publicly but denies all involvement until the very end. Liam Hayes never appears before cameras. By spring, he is gone again. No forwarding address. No trace except a handwritten note left inside Ethan's cabin beside Rex's old service collar. Some truths survive better in silence. Months later, Ethan returns alone to the dead pine where everything began. The ground is covered in fresh grass now. Wildflowers push carefully through the thawing earth. Evening sunlight filters through the branches in long golden beams, while distant wind moves softly across the mountains. Ethan kneels slowly and places Rex's collar beside the roots of the tree. For a long moment, he says nothing. Then he notices something strange near the edge of the clearing. Fresh paw prints in the mud. Large German shepherd tracks leading toward the forest. Ethan stares at them quietly while the wind stirs through the pines again, carrying a sound almost too soft to hear. A single distant bark somewhere beyond the trees. He never follows it. But long after the mountain grows dark, Ethan remains there listening to the silence, wondering how many truths in this world survive only because someone loyal refuses to stop digging. In the cold mountains of Montana, a former U.S. Marine and his loyal German shepherd uncover a buried military secret that was never meant to be found. What begins with strange digging in the rain slowly turns into one of the most emotional animal stories about loyalty, memory, and hidden truth, as the old K9 leads the battle-worn Marine through forgotten burial grounds, abandoned bunkers, and painful memories from Afghanistan. Long-buried lies begin rising back to the surface. This cinematic journey blends mystery, brotherhood, survival, and redemption into unforgettable animal stories filled with suspense and emotional depth. While a retired colonel fights to keep the past buried, the Marine must decide whether truth is worth destroying everything he once believed about duty and honor. Through snowstorms, silence, and heartbreak, the German shepherd refuses to stop protecting the souls left behind, proving why some animal stories stay with you long after the final scene fades. This powerful drama explores trust, betrayal, military corruption, and the unbreakable bond between a soldier and his K9 companion in a way that feels hauntingly real. Fans of emotional animal stories, mystery thrillers, military storytelling, and heartfelt rescue journeys will be drawn into every moment of this unforgettable experience. As the truth finally reaches daylight, one question still lingers deep in the forest where it all began. Did the loyal dog simply remember the past, or was he guarding something far greater all along? With cinematic atmosphere, emotional twists, and deeply human themes, this is one of those rare animal stories that reminds us. Loyalty does not end with time. loss, or even silence. For anyone who believes dogs carry pieces of memory that humans sometimes forget, these animal stories will leave a lasting mark on your heart. Front-facing white male, former U.S. Marine, 41 years old, rugged weathered face, short dark brown hair with slight gray temples, hazel gray eyes, athletic broad-shouldered build, wearing dark flannel jacket and military cargo pants, realistic cinematic lighting, emotional expression, ultra-detailed skin texture, no cartoon, no CGI, no illustration, full body elderly German Shepherd K9. 11 years old, sable black and tan coat, amber eyes, muscular but aging frame, worn military working. Dog appearance, scarred paws, alert loyal posture, realistic cinematic lighting, ultra-detailed fur texture, emotional expression, no cartoon, no CGI, no illustration, one cinematic midnight storm in rural Montana. Elderly German Shepherd K9 with sable black and tan fur digging frantically beneath a dead pine tree, muddy bleeding paws clawing through wet earth. Glowing military ring partially visible beneath tangled roots. Strong emotional fear and urgency in the dog's amber eyes. Rugged white former U.S. Marine rushing toward the dog in heavy rain wearing soaked dark flannel jacket and military cargo pants. Lightning illuminating dense pine forest, cinematic close-up tension, realistic wet fur texture, realistic skin texture, dramatic shadows, emotional mystery atmosphere, no cartoon, no CGI, no illustration, ultra-realistic cinematic photography, high emotional intensity, grounded realism, suspenseful storytelling mood. 1, 2. 2 realistic cinematic dawn. Scene. Inside isolated Montana cabin. Rugged white former U.S. Marine sitting alone at old wooden kitchen table holding steaming coffee mug. Exhausted hazel eyes staring into silence. Military photographs turned face down beside scattered paperwork. Warm, dim cabin, lighting contrasting cold snow outside frosted window. Emotional loneliness and buried trauma visible in expression. Detailed flannel clothing, rugged beard stubble, realistic wrinkles and skin texture. Subtle military atmosphere without. Combat, cinematic mid-shot composition, quiet emotional tension. Ultra-realistic American setting. Grounded storytelling mood, realistic lighting and shadows, emotional depth, no cartoon, no CGI, no illustration, highly detailed cinematic realism. 1, 2. 3 warm cinematic interior cabin scene focused on aging German Shepherd K9 resting beside glowing wood stove during winter evening. Sable black and tan coat illuminated by soft amber firelight. Old military service collar hanging. Nearby, dog suddenly lifting head toward dark forest outside window with alert emotional expression as if sensing danger. Rugged white former U.S. Marine blurred in background watching quietly. Realistic fur texture and emotional animal eyes. Peaceful atmosphere interrupted by subtle mystery. Cinematic close-up shot. Realistic rustic cabin details. Quiet emotional storytelling. Dramatic contrast between warmth and darkness outside. Ultra-realistic lighting, grounded realism, emotional suspense. No cartoon, no CGI, no illustration. Highly cinematic American mountain setting. 1, 2. 4 heavy rain cinematic confrontation scene in muddy Montana backyard night. Rugged white former U.S. Marine kneeling desperately while gripping harness of elderly German Shepherd K9, trying to pull him away from deep muddy hole beneath dead pine tree. Dog growling protectively with emotional panic and loyalty. Partially buried metallic object glowing faintly in mud under lightning flash, soaked. Clothing and wet fur. Strong emotional conflict between man and dog. Cinematic mid-shot perspective. Realistic storm atmosphere. Intense muddy textures. Emotional suspense and hidden mystery, ultra-realistic. Body language and expressions, grounded American realism, dramatic natural lighting, no cartoon, no CGI, no illustration, suspenseful emotional storytelling composition. 1, 2, 5 cinematic emotional close-up during stormy night. Rugged white former U.S. Marine holding cracked military ring engraved with mysterious initials in trembling muddy hands. Cold rain dripping from fingers and beard. Elderly German Shepherd, K9, sitting silently beside him staring intensely toward dark forest. Emotional shock and painful memory visible on Marine's face. Lightning illuminating fog-covered pine trees behind them. Realistic skin pores and wet textures. Highly cinematic mystery atmosphere. Grounded military realism. Emotional tension and suspense. Shallow depth of field focusing on ring and emotional expressions. Dramatic natural lighting. No cartoon, no CGI, no illustration. Ultra-realistic cinematic storytelling mood with haunting emotional undertone. 1, 2, 6 dark. Cinematic midnight cabin discovery scene. Rugged white former U.S. Marine kneeling beside open floorboards revealing hidden military radio, burned classified documents, and dusty metal compartment illuminated by flashlight beam. Elderly German Shepherd K9, standing alert nearby, staring toward dark hallway, as if hearing someone unseen. Emotional fear and growing paranoia are visible on Marine's face. Realistic rustic cabin textures. Dramatic flashlight shadows. Cinematic close-up composition. Suspenseful hidden truth atmosphere. Realistic military props. Emotional tension rising naturally. Grounded American realism. Highly detailed environmental storytelling. Subtle mystery in darkness beyond hallway. No cartoon. No CGI. No illustration. Ultra-realistic cinematic thriller mood. 1, 2, 7 fog-covered abandoned mountain watch station during violent stormy night. Rugged white former U.S. Marine cautiously entering ruined structure with flashlight while elderly German Shepherd K9 leads ahead through broken doorway. Swinging lantern casting moving shadows across walls covered in surveillance photographs and military maps. Emotional fear and confusion on Marine's face. Realistic wet. Clothing in muddy boots. Dense fog glowing outside with distant headlights barely visible through rain. Cinematic mid-shot tension. Grounded military mystery realism. Highly atmospheric storytelling composition. Ultra-realistic textures and dramatic lighting. Suspenseful emotional discovery mood. No cartoon. No CGI. No illustration. Cinematic American wilderness thriller aesthetic. 1, 2, 8 cinematic snowy mountain forest scene at night. Elderly German Shepherd K9 scratching. Desperately at hidden underground bunker entrance buried beneath vines and snow. Rugged white former U.S. Marine aiming flashlight in a partially open steel doorway while noticing fresh tire tracks in mud. Emotional urgency and dread visible in both characters. Realistic aging dog body posture. Detailed winter clothing and rugged face textures. Cold blue lighting mixed with flashlight glow. Suspenseful hidden military secret atmosphere. Cinematic close-up realism. Grounded emotional. Storytelling, realistic snow and fog textures. Mystery and danger without violence. No cartoon. No CGI. No illustration. Ultra-realistic cinematic suspense photography. 1, 2, 9 emotional underground bunker reunion scene. Scarred, exhausted military survivor wrapped in gray blanket, sitting beneath dim fluorescent light, while elderly German Shepherd K9 presses emotionally against him with deep loyalty and relief. Rugged white former U.S. Marine frozen nearby, in disbelief holding military files, walls covered with faded photographs and investigation evidence. Emotional tears and shock visible on Marine's face, realistic bunker textures and dramatic lighting, cinematic mid-shot intimacy, grounded realism and emotional storytelling, ultra-detailed skin texture and fur detail, mystery and heartbreak atmosphere, realistic military environment, no cartoon, no CGI, no illustration, cinematic emotional realism with deep human connection. 1, 2, 10 snow-covered. Forest confrontation at pale dawn. Rugged white former U.S. Marine, standing protectively beside elderly, exhausted German Shepherd K9 while clutching classified military evidence folder. Distant older military officer partially hidden in dense fog among pine trees. Emotional conflict and betrayal visible in Marine's tense expression. Realistic winter clothing and cold breath atmosphere. German Shepherd positioned protectively despite weakness. Cinematic long mid-shot with emotional suspense. Realistic snow texture and dramatic natural dawn lighting. Grounded military realism. Mystery and emotional danger without physical violence. No cartoon, no CGI, no illustration. Ultra-realistic cinematic storytelling. Mood with haunting atmosphere. 1, 2. 11 quiet emotional sunrise beside frozen mountain creek. Rugged white former U.S. Marine kneeling beside weakened elderly German Shepherd K9 resting in snow, while scattered investigation files and military photographs lie partially buried nearby. Emotional exhaustion and gratitude visible in Marine's tearful eyes. Dog looking peacefully toward distant pine forest as if guarding one final secret. Cinematic close-up intimacy, realistic snow reflections, and soft winter sunlight. Grounded emotional realism, subtle mystery atmosphere. Ultra-detailed fur and skin textures. Dramatic but peaceful natural lighting. Emotionally powerful cinematic composition. No cartoon, no CGI, no illustration. Highly realistic emotional storytelling image. 1, 2. 12 emotional cinematic ending during golden evening light in quiet Montana forest clearing. Rugged white former U.S. Marine kneeling beside dead pine tree, gently placing old German Shepherd service collar into grass while mysterious fresh paw prints lead alone into dark forest beyond. Emotional grief mixed with peace visible on Marine's weathered face. Warm sunset beams filtering through pine trees. Subtle spiritual atmosphere without fantasy elements. Realistic environmental detail and cinematic lighting. Grounded emotional realism. Lingering mystery and loyalty theme. Ultra-detailed textures and natural colors. Cinematic close-up storytelling composition. No cartoon, no CGI. No illustration. Emotionally haunting realistic ending scene. 1, 2.